Hello everyone, this is Scott JUA from Crucible Custom Props, FX, IRA, and the RPF forums. This is the most recent accurate Obi-Wan build I've done. This one's a bit different from the other recent ones, of course. Each one is different, but this one's kind of this one's a different story. This one started sometime last year. This is a Russ Rep and Romans based replica this time. This one was for Alberto. Alberto came to me wanting to do something different, something special for his Obi-Wan build. I had the extra Rust Rep parts and that worked out really great. So this is a Rust Rep replica balance pipe, a Rust Rep grenade. I don't remember if that's a Parks clamp or a Romans clamp. This is definitely a Romans booster, although it could be a Rust booster. Kind of hard to remember. Definitely a Romans pommel. So we've got a mix of parts here. We do have a Rust steel transistor, and of course I made these parts here. As this is a full FX blade saber, but this one's different. This is a crystal chamber reveal. And it is also Crystal Focus LS, so LED strip. So it comes with, I've made an LED strip blade. Well, I'll cover all the details here in a second, but this is a, so the blade has, rather than being just a polycarbonate tube with an LED mounted here and it shines up, this is one of the main reasons why it was pretty difficult for me to do this one. It's got a bunch of LEDs all the way up and down. It's got two strips. There's a flash on clash strip. That's blue with a green flash on clash strip. When it's mixing, the green is just a little green, but it turns yellowish as a flash on clash. And it's one of the few colors that actually shows up really well doing a flash on clash. And Watchmaker Lamb from Lethal Crystal helped me out with the some of the details on this build, as he's helped me out with some of the details on my chassis pieces and things like that. This one, he's kind of an LS master, and I needed him and Brad from Sloth Furnace. Those guys are the top guys for, and Space Windu, of course, from the FX forums. Those guys are all the masters aside from Makoto over in, I believe he's in Taiwan, but I could be wrong. Anyway. So I needed help from different parts of the world getting this build done, and it came together pretty nicely. Alberto originally sent his design of a crystal chamber to me, and it was the way he designed it, the scale in which to work with inside of an Obi-Saber is very small. There's not much space. If you can imagine, we need to fit a crystal chamber. Here's my hand for scale. The Obi-Saber is truncated here because you have space, about some space taken up here by the base. The grenade ends about right here. And then you have a little bit of space here, and you have a booster space, and then the sync knob space. Now these diameters are all very small compared to most like MHS sabers and things like that. Everything's really small. It's a cram foo session trying to get everything in there. In fact, Romans typically machined out boosters are not. This one was machine. I bored this one out to the maximum you could do. It's without compromising the strength of it. I've used every spare millimeter of this build. There's no special chassis in it, nothing like that. This was started before Roman started doing his thread together parts. So there's a lot of pretty much everything underneath I made from scratch to bring it together. Gosh, it's just kind of overwhelming thinking about the process. But anyway, let me go back to the crystal chamber. Alberto sent a drawing over of what he wanted for the crystal chamber. It was It was the base of it, the core of it was pretty small, and there were lots of wires going around and some horizontal wires going around the crystal. And a lot of those things weren't very practical, especially for an Obi-Wan build. So I wanted to integrate his design, so I kind of thinking of structural integrity as far as I need this to be able to open and display and be solid enough to where it can be displayed with on its own weight and not sag and droop and things like that. And also have the ability to slide in and out and pass through wires without the wires being seen to run the electronics. Now, so the core had to have more aluminum structure on the core to do that, and there was really no way to make any vertical wires because the scale of it, with the things to make everything pass through the scale of it, you just would really lose the crystal. And I tried recently to integrate some of those even smaller wires around the crystal, and it just didn't look good in my opinion. So we're gonna reattempt that on his next reveal on the Graflex, and that gives me a much larger scale and room to work with to kind of integrate his design. And so this has some design elements from his what he wanted, but it's also my interpretation of what I think a crystal core for an Obi-Wan should be. It's really hard. I don't want to copy anybody, but you know, in the Saber world and in prop building, you know, we're making an accurate replica, so you know, there's only so much you can do as far as the outward look if you're trying to replicate something. And then I had to stand on the shoulders of giants as far as figuring out how things would actually mechanically work. Brad was the first person I'd ever seen to first of all convert an accurate Obi-Wan and then do a reveal. And we met at the North Texas prop party a few times over the past couple years, and we've talked about the details, and I've been brainstorming how to do this in any other way than how he did it. Lamb from Lethal Crystal actually devised a different way of doing his as well. I don't believe he's finished with that, but Brad's way was the way that I chose to try and emulate and do as well. My own take on it, and try to figure out how to get the mechanism and everything. So what you're going to see is a lot of Sloth Furnace-esque. I borrowed a lot of his ideas because there's just I couldn't figure out another way to do it. And when we were talking about it, other than his guide rod system for the V2, I don't know how else you'd do it. But live and learn. So anyway, let's go ahead and show you the Saber now. That's a lot of talky. Anyway, so this is, I really went to town on this weathering wise. I wanted the others, I always try to be a little bit conservative about what people might think weathering should be, because sometimes you might take it too far and people think it's too much, and sometimes you do too little and people, you know, a lot of people are okay with everything. But this one, the last one, I like quite a lot, but I wanted to take the clamp weathering a little bit farther, and just also the booster and the grenade just a tiny bit farther than the last one I did for Paul. And these parts have been blued for, God, only over a year. I've had these parts for quite a while. They have a nice age to them. They have an age, but the damages and the clamp, that's all new. So what I did here was this Birchwood Casey aluminum, super blue on the steel parts. And I don't remember if this came black oxide or I think it was regular, just plain steel. I honestly can't remember. But there is a mix of brass black, aluminum black, and super blue on on the wind vane, and it's got some nice. Let's see if I can get it to focus there. It's got some nice layers to it, and you know, I would purposely drop it in my tool drawer and things like that, and so it would get a nice weathered look. None of the real grenades that I've seen have been pristine. So all this chemical work is layered over time. This is an aluminum blade plug. So all this chemical work has been layered over time. So there's some nice depth to these pieces. I'm quite happy with how it turned out aesthetically. So this is a mix of aluminum black, and actually once I was sitting here at my desk trying to think of how can I make this look better, and I realized I had some Tamiya paints from when I did the wash on my 21B sculpt, and so I figured, well, let me try. And so I started putting some of that, dabbing on a little bit of the paint, the acrylic paint, and it looks quite good. I think it turned out pretty good. So anyway, let me show you how this works. So this is going to be the key. This is not an on-off switch. This is pre any of that. So I started this way before that. This is the kill key, and besides, this build wouldn't even had a place for that. So this worked out great the way it is. So there's the kill key there, your activation and your auxiliary. I have it backwards, I think, from the last time. And I am not on an Obi-Wan font, but that's okay for the purposes of this video. Now, to release the chamber, there is, just like Sloth Furnace, there is a very easy to use and easy to get to catch right there. Spring loaded. The LEDs. And you'll notice the way I made this, I made it to purposely hold the full weight of, it can be displayed like this and not droop or sag or anything like that. I had an EFX loop reveal, and that thing would sag if you didn't have the set screws super tight. And it kind of got icky after a while. So the way this works is I made it to where it would be strong. And now, to be honest, one of the things that I wanted to do was put some fiber optics through these tubes. And there are fiber optics in there, but these blue LEDs just don't push enough light to really take advantage of those fiber optics in there. There is light coming through them, but it's just not to the level that it's really very noticeable. So let me show you. It's an Aqua Aura quartz crystal, so it's a genuine quartz crystal. There are brass seats for the LEDs and the crystal, and then some copper tubing. I'm sorry, that was completely off camera. So let me show you some of that detail there. There's machine detail down there that you can't really see. Now this is meant to, so how this works is there is a channel guide here, and it's spring loaded, so the spring, there's a channel guide here for a catch. Whoops, we're not focusing here, come on. And this rides upon this catch, and this is just like Sloth Furnace or Brad's design. There's a screw there that catches on this lip, and that stops the action. Inside, deep down in there, you'll probably see a little bit of DIN connector. Well, there's a DIN connector at the top here too. Let me show you that. Let me take out this blade plug and just show you that. Your blade retention screw is right here at the top. Got your little blade plug. Okay, so we have a DIN connector there. And then there's a DIN connector at the base of the grenade. That rides this channel here to seat. Let me show you this again. So there are some O-rings. There are some sliding O-rings, and this works to dampen the action. Because originally when I first started testing this, the spring tension was just too strong, and it would just slam up to the top and damage the metal. So actually Lamb came up with the idea that using some O-rings on a sliding channel would help dampen the action there. So it's meant to, when it's closed down, you do have to rotate it a bit. There is a little catch there for that screw to sit into, and there's a catch here for the it just snaps into place. When that happens, this lines up precisely with the DIN on the top of the core, and you get your connection. So that was quite, that's really difficult to get everything lined up to where it's always working and matching. But these micro dins that Lamb provided me with are really great. They're metal and they're nice and strong. So, whoops. Just wiggle it past those O-rings. Slide your spring in. And this is a spring from an airsoft. Finding the right spring was also quite a challenge too. So we have those O-rings dampen the effect. In fact, when you first open it, it's not just going to pop out. The clamp pressure also helps keep it from just slamming forward too. So you just help it a little bit and it'll come right open. And then you just put a little bit of pressure on the latch, and when you're pushing it closed, and then there you go. So anyway, let me show you the SD card access. Just like all the others, it's very simple. Your SD card is right there. So if you notice where that's lined up, that is all the space available. All the space available. There's no more space. I've used every single bit of space. So how that works is, what I've got going on inside, let me just kind of describe it to you, because it was a real pain to kind of figure out how to do it. So I have an aluminum, I machined an aluminum piece here that goes in here, and it's a very thin sleeve that goes all the way down to, oh, I don't know, about halfway here. So the booster has some place to hang on to. And inside this, there is the base of the crystal. So you'll see that. That goes down to about right here. Then we have a speaker chamber. And I've designed that to where basically the speaker sits exactly up to the base of the LED that shines up through the crystal. There are very small channels that are milled on the insides here that go around the outside, that pass all these wires through, and the speaker has a grill, a screen, to protect it from anything touching it. So there's nothing's going to touch it and make the speaker rattle. And inside, so all the wiring are passed along specially milled channels that go around the crystal. The speaker and that speaker grill, and then they're passed back into the main tube to be wired to this crystal focus. The 14500 battery pack goes all the way from here to right up against that speaker grill. So all of the space is used. Routing the wiring in this sucker was probably the most complicated and most frustrating thing I've ever done. And I do not think I will ever want to do another Obi reveal for anyone. At least not a Crystal Focus LS one. I've even gone off the idea of it for myself. If I do it for myself, if I do a reveal for myself someday, it won't be with a string blade. The wires coming off of the blade, there's 8 wires coming off of the blade. 8 wires into 1, 2, 3, 4 dins. This is one at the base of the blade, of course. 4 dins. And you have to use 30 gauge wire. They're very small wires. It's really, really tedious. And if there's a single hitch or single problem, you have to backtrack every single wire, every connection to find out what's going on. So that said, it was this was a challenging build. This was pretty hard to do, but here it is. It's all done. It's all set. Let me finally fire it up. Now the other challenge is figuring out where there's no. It's snug. It's a very snug fit for the blade. Because I want it to be able to be played with. So it is snug. There it is. I found it right away. Lucky. Lucky for the video. Let me just tighten down the blade retention. Pull the kill key. Fire her up. And let me see if I can get that on camera here. As a beach ball roll through. Now this is a overcast day, but we still got sunlight coming through here. So there's your Crystal Focus LS. And here's your flash on clash. It shows up as a whitish. Whitish flash on clash. So as soon as you release, you know, of course it can't light up the blade at the same time because of you've released the DIN connection. But once you put it back, it comes back alive. So let's cycle through and go to the. Let's go to the audio player. All right. So we have our audio player, right? It is set to bar graph mode. So pretty cool, fun. Okay, let's go back to our Obi-Wan font. Okay, we'll select our Obi-Wan font.
Presence I've not felt since. I've been waiting for you, Obi-Wan. We meet again at last.
You can kind of get an idea of how freaking small all that is. And when I tried to put some wires horizontally around the crystal, it just did not, you lost everything. It just didn't look good. So I'm sorry, Alberto, if that's a big disappointment. I hope this delivers for you. But we will try again on your Graphics to get your vision realized. I'm really happy with how this came out, especially with all of the crazy details as far as cosmetics and getting everything to work mechanically. I know we didn't discuss Flash on Clash for the blade, but surprise, there it is. So anyway, that's it, guys. This is the Crystal Focus LS Reveal Obi. Pretty cool. I don't know, that's just pretty cool. But I'm a dork. So anyway, there's one more Obi-Wan font that I put on there. The two best ones from Wan Sith.
The Force will be with you. The Force will be with you. Always. If you strike me down, I shall become more powerful than you can possibly imagine.
So that blade is pretty snug. So when you take it out, just pull it straight out. Slide in your plug. Just barely snug it down. And there you go.
I shall become more powerful than you can possibly imagine.
Let's see if I can get the other force sound.
Stretch out with your feelings.
Yeah, there it is. So anyway, here it is, guys. One last look. Let's see if I can get it to focus. Alrighty, I'm gonna wrap this long video up. Thanks for watching.